To our special guests, participants, and listeners, good day. I would like to welcome you all to our webinar for today on drug awareness. This is Algina ROLLOQUE, your host for today's webinar. Without further ado, let us all welcome our first speaker for today, Dr. Gia Herodias.
Hi, my warmest greetings to you all. I am Dr. Herodias, and I am happy to educate you about drugs. So let's begin the discussion by defining drugs. What is drugs? A drug is any substance, with the exception of food and water, which when taken into the body alters the body's function either physically or psychologically. Drugs may be legal, such as alcohol, caffeine, and tobacco, or illegal, such as ecstasy and cocaine. Psychoactive drugs affect the central nervous system and alters a person's mood, thinking, and behavior. Psychoactive drugs may be divided into 4 categories. These are depressants, stimulants, hallucinogens, and other. So how are drugs made? Drugs come from different sources. In plants, for example, cannabis, mushrooms, or tobacco. In processed plant products, for example, alcohol. And in synthetic chemicals, for example, ecstasy. The processes used to make drugs varies widely, but drug products have 2 main types of ingredients, the active ingredients and inactive ingredients. When we say active ingredients, it is the ingredients that biologically affect your body. The inactive ingredients, these generally have no biological effect. They include binding agents, capsules, dyes, preservatives, flavorings, and other ingredients. So how do people take drugs? People take drugs in different ways. Common methods include swallowing tablets or drinking liquids, breathing them into the lungs, snorting into the nose, injecting through the skin, rectally or vaginally as a suppository lining. So no matter which way you take a drug, it will end up in your bloodstream and affect different parts of your body. Drugs can be legal or illegal. In legal drugs, some drugs such as alcohol, caffeine, and nicotine, they are legal but may be subjected to restrictions based on age, location of use, driving, and point of sale regulations. We regulate and control active ingredients in legal drugs, the alcohol content of drinks, and the milligrams of nicotine in cigarettes. While in illegal drugs, other drugs such as cannabis, ecstasy, cocaine, and heroin are illegal. They are not subject to quality or price controls, and the amount of active ingredients varies.
Thank you, Dr. Gia. And for our next speaker, let us all welcome Ms. Khalid Qatada.
The government took action and implemented a law to stop it from escalating, and that is how Republic Act No. 6425, otherwise known as the Dangerous Drugs Act of 1972, came place, and later on it reappealed and changed to Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. What is the purpose of the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act? As we all know, it is the policy of the state to safeguard the integrity of its territory and the well-being of its citizenry, particularly the youth, from the harmful effects of dangerous drugs on their physical and mental well-being, and to defend the same against acts or omissions detrimental to their development and preservations. What happens when a person gets caught using prohibited or illegal drugs? According to Republic Act No. 9165, also known as Comprehensive Dangerous Drug Act of 2002, Article 2 of Section 15, the use of dangerous drugs. It was stated there that a person apprehended or arrested who is found to be positive for use of any dangerous drug after a confirmatory test shall be imposed a penalty of minimum of 6 months rehabilitation in a government center for the first offense, subject to the provision of Article 8 of this Act.
And our last speaker for today's webinar, let us all welcome Dr. Diane Duva.
So good morning everyone. For today, I will be talking about the effects of drugs to a person. As what Dr. Herodias said earlier in her talk, a drug is a substance in which, when taken into the body, alters the body's function either physically or psychologically. Now, there are a lot of ways on why people take drugs. For some, it is taken for medical purposes. Intake of drugs helps in diagnosing, curing, treating, and preventing diseases. But there there is also what we call the abuse usage of drugs, which can lead to drug addiction. The effects of drugs in the body depends on how the drug is being delivered. This can be done by injecting, inhaling, and many more. Another thing to keep in mind is that these effects can be short-term or long-term. In the short-term effects, this can change the way a person thinks, acts, and feels. This can make you feel invincible, excited, euphoric, and even paranoid. This can cause hallucinations and delusions. Other effects that this has on the body can be seen in one's eyes, nose, teeth, and skin. Using drugs over and over on a regular basis lets your brain tolerate it. Eventually, you'll become dependent on the drug. This can lead to physical and emotional withdrawal symptoms and intense cravings when the drug wears off. The effect this has on the body may cause cancer, heart diseases, infectious diseases, lung diseases, and mental illnesses. Overall, abusing drugs greatly affects the brain and behavior of a person. This can weaken your immune system, which means that you are prone to infection and illnesses. This can also cause heavy seizure attacks and can lead to problems affecting your memory, decision-making, and attention. Some of the short-term and long-term effects of abusing drugs to one's behavior includes paranoia, aggressiveness, hallucinations, addiction, impaired judgment, impulsiveness, and loss of self-control. Dealing with these effects can be really difficult, especially to the people surrounding a drug abuser. As responsible individuals, it is your job to spread awareness to the people in any way that you can do. I hope that you have learned something from this topic, and thank you for listening.
If you have questions, you are free to talk. You may turn on your microphones and start talking.
Are there effective treatments for drug addiction?
Drug addiction is a complex illness. It is characterized by intense and at times uncontrollable drug cravings, along with compulsive drug seeking and use that persist even in the face of devastating consequences. Because drug abuse and addiction have so many dimensions and disrupt so many aspects of an individual's life, treatment is not simple. Effective treatment programs typically incorporate many components, each directed to a particular aspect of the illness and its consequences. Addiction treatment must help the individual stop using drugs, maintain a drug-free lifestyle, and achieve productive functioning in the family, at work, and in society. Because addiction is a disease, most people cannot simply stop using drugs for a few days and be cured. Patients typically require long-term or repeated episodes of care to achieve the ultimate goal of sustained abstinence and recovery of their lives.
What is drug withdrawal, and can you do it even without the help of a professional?
Withdrawal is a combination of physical and mental effects that a person experiences after they stop using or reduce their intake of a substance, such as alcohol and prescription or recreational drugs. If you have been using a substance with a high potential of dependency and you suddenly stop or you cut down your use drastically, you can experience a variety of withdrawal symptoms. The intensity and duration of these withdrawal symptoms can vary widely depending on the type of drug and your biological makeup. It's possible to withdraw at home when the withdrawal symptoms are predicted to be mild to moderate in severity, and support is available from a family member or a friend. Treatment for withdrawal includes support, care, and medications that can ease symptoms and prevent possible complications. With some substances, people are able to stop their use abruptly and manage their withdrawal symptoms on their own. But abruptly quitting substances such as benzodiazepines or alcohol can be potentially dangerous, so always consult your doctor to come up with a detox plan. Medically assisted withdrawals can ensure that you are safe and to help minimize unpleasant withdrawal symptoms. We have doctors or medical professionals and rehabilitation centers that will help for those who are planning.
How would you know that someone is addicted to drugs or abusing the drugs? Is there other way to prevent or to cure this abusing drugs? Or what will happen to someone if they take 3 to 4 times that drugs a day? Lastly is that I'm curious about is when will the disease attack if someone is using the drugs?
You keep taking a drug after it's no longer needed for a health problem. you feel strange when the drug wears off. You may be shaky, depressed, sick to your stomach, sweat, or have headaches. You may also be tired or not hungry. In severe cases, you could even be confused, have seizures, or run a fever. You can't stop yourself from using the drug even if you want to. You are still using it even though it's making bad things happen in your life, like trouble with friends, family, work, or the law. You spend a lot of your time thinking about the drug, how to get more, when you'll take it, how good you feel, or how bad you feel afterward. You've lost interest in things you once liked to do. You borrow or steal money to pay for drugs. Depending on what drug a person has taken, symptoms of an overdose vary. It is not always easy to discern overdose symptoms from mere drug use because some of the drug's innate effects, people may not realize they are experiencing an overdose, especially if they are heavily under the influence of that drug. Some general symptoms associated with various overdose states include severe chest pain, seizures, severe headaches, difficulty breathing, delirium, extreme agitation, or anxiety. Treatment we can do are detoxification, behavioral counseling, medication, and long-term follow-up, but these can be a little expensive and can add to the burden of some families.
Does marijuana use lead to the use of other drugs? The gateway drug concept, where using one drug leads a person to use other drugs, generates a lot of controversy. Researchers haven't found a definite answer yet, but as of today, the research does suggest that while most people who smoke marijuana do not go on to use other drugs, most teens who do use other illegal drugs might try marijuana first. Animal studies suggest that because teen brain is still developing, using marijuana, alcohol, or tobacco in your teen years may alter your brain's reward system, and that may put teens at higher risk of using other drugs. In addition, using marijuana puts children and teens in contact with people who use or sell other drugs, increasing the risk of additional drug use.
Hello, I'm just really bothered about the situation of my friend. That's why I wanted to know is it true that prescription drugs are safe? Are they legal? Because some of my friends at school use them. And what can I do to help my friend who is addicted to drugs?
If your doctor prescribes you a medication, you may take it safely and legally as it is directed. However, it is important to remember that prescription drugs are still drugs. They are addictive and they are both dangerous and illegal if used non-medically. You can die from using a prescription drug that was not prescribed to you. If you think your friend has a serious drug problem, the most important thing you can do is offer him your support. Talk to your friend and let them know that you are concerned, that you are there for them. Encourage them to seek help from a trusted adult such as a school counselor, a doctor, or an addiction professional. You can also talk to me, and together we can figure out how to find professionals who can get your friend healthy again. If you feel that your friend is in danger, this is especially important. You can help save your friend's life. If you recognize there is a problem, you can be a positive influence.
Hello, good day. I am Maria KRYSTINA and LAYSON, and I want to raise these questions. Are all drugs addictive? What makes them addictive?
Each of drug abuse is unique and will act on the brain in a different way. However, all drugs share something in common, a chemical called dopamine. When a person uses drug, their brain releases dopamine to produce the feeling of being high. But when a person uses drug repeatedly, their brain adjusts to the surges of dopamine that occur. In time, their bodies get used to this chemical and demand more of it. This is where an addiction starts. The user starts to crave more of drugs and less of one's pleasurable things in life, such as good food or friendship. The user also begins to lose the ability to resist these bad cravings, make it harder for him or her to quit. Keep in mind that different drugs have different effects on the brain and body, but in nearly all cases, repeated drug use will always lead to addictive behaviors.
And that concludes our webinar for today. I would like to thank all our special guests for the informative talk, and thank you participants and listeners for your cooperation. Thank you and God bless.